All right, it's district breakdown time. We are heading to Fort Worth to talk a little 4-5A Division Two. My guy Diggs, he's always ready. I'm ready, and there's playoff spots to be had. So these Fort Worth teams are ready. Plus Saginaw. Boy, you look up and down this list. There's not a lot of playoff history in the recent few years with a lot of these teams, except for maybe Arlington Heights and ODY. It's made it a couple times. Talk to me about how you even begin to dissect this district and who you might see come out of there.
When I do with this kind of a district, because we got 6A teams coming down, we've got 5A teams moving around and trying to figure all this out. It is a completely new alignment. I kind of take what I kind of consider a computer-based model with this, and I take kind of their finishing part from last year from a couple of different models. Then I put the Diggs effect on it. I was like, okay, well, I think this was dumb. I think this was good. And then I kind of create my own computer model. And then I kind of look at what they've got coming back and what I like and their coaching staff. And then Ward, I have a district breakdown for you, ready to go right there.
All
and
right.
It is fresh for you. And the team I like at number one in this district is Arlington Heights. This is a team that has built up a little bit of tradition. It's my favorite aesthetic school, by the way. Anytime you drive down I-30, you see Arlington Heights, you're seeing something special. I love Arlington Heights. But when I see a freshman running back coming from that same mold that people are kind of referring in the same name as Brian Furch, I know you had all kinds of highlights on him a couple of years ago when he was running through the equivalent of this district. You got a freshman, Ward, who scored 13 touchdowns. You got my eyes. One thing Arlington Heights has always been good at, and I know you kind of talked about this in the last couple of years with some of your coaching interviews, is that they've gotten some of those players back from other schools, and now all of a sudden that offensive line is consistently good, and they're good in the foundation. Now you got a running back who can give them that identity that Brian Furch gave them. 13 touchdowns, Ward, as a freshman. I like Arlington Heights to be able to replicate that. They also got Deshaun Long, who can kind of be their long threat. See what I did there? And they got to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. But when you got that offensive line coming back and you got that running back coming back, I like Arlington Heights number one. But Ward, the team I'm most excited about, because we've been talking about this hypothetical on our campfires. We've been talking about all of our social media outlets. What's going to happen when Fort Worth Paschal finally drops to 5A Division II? Because they've been in 6A. They've been attached to the hip with Euless Trinity for as long as we can remember. And it's like, why? They just want to be with their Fort Worth ISD friends. I think it is the year of the Paschal Panther, baby. We are going number two. We're going to the playoffs.
All right.
Fort Worth Paschal is back in there, and everything is going to seem so much slower now that they're not playing Trinity and Weatherford and Boswell and some of these schools. And they got a quarterback coming back who had over 800 combined yards last year, Deshaun Thomas. They got Luke Tevis, a really good, talented wide receiver. I think Paschal is going to thrive in this district, and I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong and they made it up to number one.
Wow. Yeah, you're right, man. Some of these teams, and we'll talk about them in a second, like Paschal, just so tired of taking the handoff and running into a big tongue and falling over. Now, they may be surprised at the holes they see for 3-4 seconds. All they got to do is dart through it. Another team is
competitive in 6A. I mean, they just weren't getting blown out 60-0 like Saginaw was. They were competitive in 6A, and they even had a couple of district wins for the last few years. This was a team that's just looking for that one thing, and now that they dropped to 5A Division I, I think that's going to be their identity. And now I think off-season practices, they got to be feeling great about themselves right now.
Well,
like you said, Ward, we got playoff spots to give out.
Right.
You get a playoff spot, you get a playoff spot, and somebody who's not used to getting playoff spots are going to get a playoff spot. Yeah. I think we need to go to Eagle Mountain, Saginaw ISD. We're going to go up the mountain now, and we're going to find out some of our other players. Saginaw is returning of offensive talent. Right. Robin Morales, 1,400 yards last year. Corey Baker, 500 yards running the ball. Aiden Collier, a very talented wide receiver, 500 yards last year. Saginaw had put up some offensive numbers last year. They just couldn't stop anybody. And I think now is their chance to kind of elevate themselves to the next level. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and I like them at number 3.
See, I mean, the Rough Riders have literally had a rough ride of it in the years past, and now they're in a district where, like you said, they can shine. And seeing early success could open their eyes to what could be. That could be a playoff spot. And let's not shoot for 3. Let's shoot for 2 and 1 because we don't want Ryan or Alito right off the bat. But we want to get in. Just getting into the postseason will be something special. Talk to me about OD Wyatt though. They took a tough blow last year when Cade Barrett got hurt and kind of derailed their season. It wasn't as good as they probably thought it should have been. Now they're in this district. Tell me about them and maybe some of these other Fort Worth ISD teams.
Things are going well for Fort Worth Wyatt. They still got that very favorable alignment. I think they're just going to be on the outside looking in. They graduated a lot last year, not just Cade Barrett, but a lot of their really talented skill players and a lot of their talented linemen ended up graduating. We still have a very big name, Ward Javorsky Lane Jr., a multi-sport athlete, a baseball player, a football player, a track star. This kid is special, and he's going to be a leader on this team. He's got that NFL pedigree word. I know, the kind of refrigerator who can just roll through a high school and get everybody kind of on the fullback train. And they got D. Goss, makes me think of our guy, Brian Gossett, DeMario Goss. Goss is going to be back at running back, but I don't think they got anything else to support him. But a team I'm excited about that I think is going to slide in the playoffs. They got a new coach. They got their quarterback coming back, and that is Saginaw Chisholm Trail. You remember that '80s game, Ward, that Chisholm Trail game where you got going down the Oregon Trail and you're going down the Chisholm Trail.
Going down the old Chisholm Trail. No, I remember that.
You're too young for old Commodore games, but I like that Chisholm Trail right now. You got Joey McGowan, Jordan Freeman. That the new coach is going to be coming in there and he's going to be looking at it going, I think Chisholm Trail is going to be that last playoff spot. I think they're going to edge out Fort Worth Wyatt for that last playoff spot. A team to watch out that could make me eat all of my words that are in that second tier who can compete for that fourth playoff spot, Fort Worth Northside. Angel Valdez, a really talented quarterback, is going to be back. DeAndre Montgomery, he had 9 touchdowns last year, Ward, 750 scrimmage yards. Really, really solid player. I think he's going to be a leader. What I worry about with Northside compared to the Saginaw schools is the lines. And I don't see anything coming back on the lines. I think Chisholm Trail and Saginaw are going to be a little bit more sturdy on the lines. And I think that's what's going to be the difference between them and Northside.
But talk about Trimble Tech, South Hills. What do you think about those two guys? Are they going to be struggling?
Well, I think the 3 teams at the bottom, South Hills, Poly, and my Parrots, and Trimble Tech are going to be at the bottom. But a player to watch, Ward, this may be a bobblehead guy in 2 years, 2027. Put this in your little notepad where you keep an eye on things. Trey Hill, he was a freshman last year, very much like James over at Arlington Heights. He was a really, really special player in a tough district last year. I think in this district, he's going to have a real good chance to shine. AJ Saldana, a really good linebacker. Louis Sanson at wide receiver, kind of players to watch. South Hills, even though they were in that really tough district last year, they had some players do some things. And now in this district, they got to be looking at things like, hey, I think we have a chance to be better and go from that third tier to that second tier. Fort Worth Poly and Trimble Tech, they're going to struggle this year. They don't have anybody returning of note that you can just look at and go, okay, we can put our hopes on them.
Take me on the Diggs trail and tell me who the top 9 are in this district.
My number 1 school, Arlington Heights. Fort Worth Pascal, the Pascal Panthers, I've got them at number 2. The Rough Riders, Saginaw, number 3. Chisholm Trail, Coach Holmes is going to be friends with me again at number 4. Fort Worth Wyatt, the Chaparrals at number 5. Northside, the Steers at number 6. South Hills, the Scorpions. I like saying all the mascots right now.
I know you do.
I'm very excited because how can I not say the Parrots? Right. Fort Worth Poly at number 8, and then Trimble Tech at number 9.
Well, there you have it, man. That's the Fort Worth district with the analysis that only Diggsy can give you. My man, way to give it to us in June. All right, brother, we're going to move on to 5-5A Division I up in Frisco, moving from Fort Worth to Frisco, and talk about those teams. But Diggsy, man, I always appreciate you joining me.
Thank you for having us, and I understand we might have a special guest next week.
That's right, special guest. We'll see what happens.
See.